The director of Thor Love and Thunder and Thor Ragnarok, Taika Waititi, has expressed some regrets, is the best way to put it, in regards to Thor Ragnarok. And his biggest regret is not bringing back Jane Foster earlier so they can set up her showing up as Mighty Thor in advance. But hey, you can't get everything right the first time around. So this comes at us from an interview with Variety, where they sat down with Taika and talked a little bit about why exactly Natalie Portman was not brought back in Thor Ragnarok. And he specifically said that it's one of these things where things were just kind of happening rapidly with that film. And the way that the things were going at that point, Natalie Portman, Disney, and Marvel were still very much, against one another. And he figured, well, if she's not coming back for anything like the Avengers films or things like that, and, even if they get her back, it's going to be something very small. There's no way she's going to want to come back, so it's probably impossible to make it happen. Her bad experience with Thor: The Dark World kind of, sealed that fate. And then it wasn't up until he came up with the idea of, okay, I really want to do Jane Foster. What can I do? So then he reached out and tried to get a meeting together for Thor Love and Thunder, and she loved it and she signed on. And he says that he wishes he could have had her appear in Ragnarok to set up a little bit of the character arc so it's not so suddenly sprung up on us in Thor Love and Thunder. But ultimately, things just ended up going the way they did, and hopefully, people like what they got. And I will say, I do wish that she did at least appear in some way, shape, or form in Ragnarok, but then that film would have to completely do something else. Like, what would you have done? Tossed her into the arena as Mighty Thor? Like, that would be too forced in that film. Do you focus on the Earth story then? But then that sort of runs up against the entire plot in space and what they're doing. Like, I feel like it would have had to have been somewhat of a different film. Do you have, like, Heimdall call her to Asgard to help the people for some reason? Like, it becomes a little too contrived, the way that Thor Ragnarok ended up going. So ultimately, I think it worked that she wasn't brought back, but I can see why he regrets not having her back to kind of set up a long form, hey, we're gonna hint at you becoming Mighty Thor, because it makes sense. It's like that Iron Man 1 to Iron Man 2. Next time, baby. But then there was no next time for the actor because they recast him. Yeah.